Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti, Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Sakhya-bhava, Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Sakhya-bhava, Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Sakhya-bhava, Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti. Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti, Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti. Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti, Govinda Rama Rama Madhaveti.
Another one, Trivanga Prabhu.
Oh,
Yes.
I'd like to hear you.
You will hear me. I play harmonium with you.
Okay.
But you sing.
Okay. On this guitar, it's B minor, F sharp, and B minor, G major, A major. I don't know.
Okay, I use more do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si in Spanish. Yeah, but I follow. Shri Harinam Prabhu ki
Jai.
jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. So, what do you link here? We start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also meditation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. It's very beautiful to have a life as we have it now. Huh? It's practically only absorption. It's kirtan in the early morning, nam, then many hours chanting, and then katha. And really, every practical thing is surrounded around absorption. Sometimes, Maharaj said, in some ashrams, it said, oh, actually we have hardly time. Harikatha can also be a disturbance for many, many practical things going on in life. So it's and
Translation.
oh yeah.
Can't do that.
You decide.
That's the German corner.
Yeah.
Seems so.
Yeah.
I need to read over here. I prefer to sit down in
Any other words, Krishna Chandra? Any further insight
Yes,
you'd like to share?
just an introduction. So it's wonderful to hear also, like, take time for prayers, like from the Brahma Stuti. Sometimes one can read the verses in a few minutes and one can quick go through the commentary and one thinks, okay, I have understood. But then it's such a precious way of prayer just to give space to Shabda Brahman, to the divine prayers, and look what implications are there. And every time also praying, oh my dear Lord, you want me to become a different person through the media of Shabda Brahma. Shabda Brahma is actually dangerous. It makes a war with everything in us that is not Anyabhilashita Shunyam, that is not directed towards pure devotion. So it can be quite stirring, can be quite aggressive. So that we have this, and one aspect of really absorption and going in the Bhagavatam, in Sadhu Sangha, is that actually not just things are cleared, but many more questions come up, and sometimes more unclarity come up. So we are so thankful, Maharaj, that you not just offer insights in the prayers, but also a readiness for the existential crisis that may come up through the exposure to Shabda Brahman. So that's why we are sitting here, and we can bring up, and it's wonderful. Thank you so much. And at the end, again, of today, we want to have a meditation for Gauranga Mahaprabhu's eternal Lila. Thank you.
Magyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namaste Manumapi Satyaputram Matrasarupam Rupam Tasya Grajamuru Purim Matharim Gastavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Gripaya Shri Gurum Tannatasmi Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhya Namo Namaha Nikhila Shrate Male Ratnamaladhyate Nirajita Padapankajanta Haji Mukta Kulairupasyamanam Haritastam Harinam Samshrayami Anarpitacharim Tirat Pirunayavatirna Kalo Samarpaitamunnatoj Balarasam Sabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Dyuti Kadamba Sandipita Sada Hridaye Kandaresh Purato Vasachinandana Janulambita Bujjo Kanaka Vadato Sankirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dwijabaro Jugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataru Ladini Shakti Svarupaya Gauranga Suridaya Cha Bhakta Shakti Pradhanaya Gadadhara Namastute He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Radhe Vrindavanadishe Karunamrita Vahini Kripaya Nijapadabja Darshanmayam Pradiyatam Bhaktya Vihinaya Paradhalakshay Kshiptascha Kamaditarangamadhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanam Vrinde Maste Charanarabindam Vrinde Maste Charanarabindam Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nityananda ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Gadadhar ji ki jai, Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Praman Hari Gaur. So before going to questions, Krishna Chandra Prabhu's words were triggering some ideas. And I'm tempted to give a whole lecture only elaborating on what he's just saying in a few minutes. So much content there. It was fun because he started saying for some people in some dynamics, Harikata is a disturbance. And we are fortunate that that's not the case. But then he concluded saying, by hearing Harikatha, we will be disturbed.
Yes.
So he made full circle. So that's an interesting idea that maybe requires some unfolding, unpacking. No? But he's totally right. No, when he speaks about Shabda Brahman, Bhagavatam speaks about Para Brahman and Shabda Brahman, the absolute personified and the absolute in sonic formula, in sound form. And Bhagavatam is saying you only attain Para Brahman through Shabda Brahman. Now, through revealed sound, you obtain Para Brahman, the absolute Sri Hari. So it all begins but this Apaurushaya Shabda, this divine sound that is not origin in any human personality, but it goes way beyond that. We call that Shastra as well. The Vedanta Sutta says Shastra Jonitvat. Shastra is the womb that gives birth to knowledge about the absolute. And there are many verses in this same direction, basically. Now, if we want to attain the infinite, we need the infinite to come to us so we can know something about him. That's what we call revelation, Shastra. And as Krishna Chandra Prabhu said, this revelation can be challenging because it's the infinite approaching the finite. So that may be overwhelming. We are finite and the infinite is extending to us. It may be too much. But by the infinite grace, it's possible to establish a relationship with the infinite. But again, that sound will, as we say these days, take us out of the comfort zone. A little bit in an Krishna Chandra Prabhu used the word aggressive. No? I remember when Srila Prabhupada came to the West, Srila Prabhupada said, I came to your country as an aggressor, he said. No? Of course, it's a loving aggression. No? We are not promoting, we are pro ahimsa. No? But that doesn't mean there is no place for any type of aggression, if you will, for challenging of the ego. That's the idea of aggression. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Tadbad Visargo Janataga Viplavo, Jasmim Pratishlokam Avadhavati api, and so on. Which basically says this message of the Bhagavad, this Shabda Brahman, is another creation. It's a different type of creation. Tadbad Visargo Janataga Viplavo. And has the potential to create a revolution in our present life. Revolution means what we think it is, as Krishna Chandra Prabhu make the mudra, no? Upside down. Reality will be shown maybe in a diametrical opposite way as we think it is. We are invited to align with Shabda Brahma. And Shabda Brahma is coming, of course, through the sadhu. We were speaking yesterday about that. My Guru Maharaj likes to say, and I appreciated what Krishna Chandra Prabhu mentioned, that when we expose ourselves to Shabda Brahman, new doubts may come. So we think, but I'm supposed to hear revelation and clear all my doubts. No, it's not like that. You have new doubts, but higher doubts, deeper doubts. There is a way to nourish faith through doubt. We need to get to that point where we can coexist with these paradoxes. Because in one stage it's impossible. No, doubt is here, faith is here, and the two are clashing with each other. One is killing each other. But on a higher level, you realize, no. Faith not only can be nourished by doubt, but needs to be nourished by a certain type of doubt. It's a doubting when you enter a level when you are not so sure about whatever you know at present. In the beginning, we get some this like initial formulas. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm not this body. And this and this. You have like the replies to all the questions. And you think, I know. Brahma thought he knew also, remember. He knows a lot, forehead thinking constantly. Till he went to Vrindavan, which seems to be an uncivilized village with people that know nothing about Vedas. They are not reciting slokas, stotrams by heart. No? They're composing spontaneous kirtan in their own original local language, but they do not seem civilized. So here you have the highest, most civilized person in the whole cosmos, Brahma, and when he's exposed to these so-called uncivilized tribal people, he starts to doubt about his own standing. I thought I knew, I thought I was a big guy in the universe. Now I realize, he will pray, as we will see, I would like to be born even as a speck of dust in this village. That will be my greatest fortune. So big conversion in between, epiphany. So my Guru Maharaj likes to say, the role of the Guru is to make the disciple doubt. The Guru says, the disciple, sit down and doubt. In one sense, present your doubts, but then when you will hear the replies of the sadhu, maybe you had the idea, I know what's this whatever topic about. And when you hear the sadhu explain that topic, you realize, I don't have an idea what the topic is about. No. I'm opening to a wider, broad room of possibilities, unlimited possibilities. So all the things I thought I knew are dismantled. You follow my point? So those types of doubts in which you are not so much so sure, and in a substantial way, you have full faith about Krishna, about bhakti, but you don't have too much faith in the sense of, I already know everything about this. You are not so sure about that, because you start to realize, oh no, this verse can be explained in this way, and in this way, and in this way, and there's no end to that. Today, Krishna Chandra Prabhu told me this nice story when he was hearing from Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, and he at one point, he was explaining one shloka from the Bhagavatam, one shloka, seems a little. He was explaining and unfolding for hours, and at one point he starts to laugh. And Krishna Chandra was there also wondering like why he's laughing. And Gaura Govinda Maharaj say, you see, Krishna just appeared. He started to look at one pillar that was in the back of the room. So everyone looked at that pillar. They thought maybe Nrsimhadev is appearing again or whatever. And yes, the original Nrsimhadev appeared. Krishna's to Bhagavan Sayan. And Gaura Govinda Maharaj said, Krishna appeared in back of the pillar. He was laughing because he was looking at me trying to fully explain one verse of the Bhagavatam. He was laughing so much at my attempt to reach the end of one verse of the Bhagavatam. He was like, Useless. Huh? Krishna Tulya Bhagavat, Vivo Sarvasroy, Pratishlok, Pratyakshare, Pratisloke, Nana Artakoi. So the Bhagavatam is no different from Krishna himself. Krishna is unlimited, Bhagavatam is unlimited, and every verse and every syllable of the Bhagavatam has unending content and possibilities. So you never think, we should never be sure enough as to think, now I know it. We have to follow Socrates. The only thing I know is that I don't know anything. Docta ignorantia, they call in Latin. Like very scholarly level of ignorance. Because you are having a glimpse of the infinite, and you realize, the infinite is infinite. So how much can I capture the infinite? I can just, as we said yesterday, touch one little point of this infinite line, and that little point is overwhelming. Srila Samaras will say, when you approach the infinite, I think I said that yesterday, be ready because there's no limit for progress. You have to be so humble. He will say, we are in this school, we are students forever. Nobody can claim at any point, I'm a teacher now. The more teacher you are, the more student you become. The more you realize the unending nature of the subject matter you are studying. There's no end. So that's a point that I want to make this introduction regarding Krishna Chandra Prabhu's point that there's place for doubt in a healthy way, and in a way that nourishes our faith. It's a faith that can accommodate paradox, apparent contradiction, differences of opinion, and the possibility of not knowing things. It's okay to not know something. It's not that I have to know every answer to every question, because if not, they will think that I don't know, and it can become an ego issue only. I have to learn all the magical questions to all the magical answers to all the questions. It's not like that. Krishna himself has questions, unsolved questions, and then appears as Mahaprabhu trying to solve those questions. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisha Vanajaya, and so on. What's the love that Radha has for me? And what's the beauty she perceives in me? And what's the joy she experiences by perceiving my... I don't know. This is Krishna. I don't know. A whole lila is necessary for solving that. My Guru Maharaj likes to say Mahaprabhu is Krishna in an existential crisis. Krishna having questions. Generally, people in the realm of theology, the main question is, does God exist or not? My Guru Maharaj likes to say this. But our theological question is God himself asking to himself, am I God or not? Because Krishna says, I'm known to be God, to be the supreme, to be Rasaraj, the relisher of all taste. But here, Sri Radha is tasting something is unknown to me. So I have lost my post as Rasaraj now or not? What's going on with me? So he's thrown into an existential crisis. And we had our own existential crisis. But we can solve our existential crisis assisting Krishna as Mahaprabhu in solving his own existential crisis. So anyhow, just for you to know that you are not alone. No? There's even place for Krishna to have doubts and questions and increase his own insights, what to speak of us. So here we are in these dynamics of ISTAGOSTHI, which basically means to expose ourselves, to open our hearts, present any questions we may have or any topics we may like to hear about, and to be ready for the answer, which probably may be answers that may invite us to, again, as we say tomorrow, in the morning, change your angle of vision. We should be prepared for unpredictable replies to our inquiry, because if we already know which the answer should be, why am I making the question at all? You follow? If I make
want to be confirmed.
Yeah, basically, no. Yeah. You want Maharaj to give blessing to their Siddhanta or something like that. But generally, if you have a question, it means I'm ready for full unpredictability. And gradually, we have to develop this mood of navigating the unpredictable. That shouldn't scare us. Again, when we trust fully who is on the other side of unpredictability, when we trust that person, we are ready to navigate whatever Krishna wants for us. And love moves in an unpredictable way. Ahiri bhagati premna shabhava kutila bhavet. Rupa Goswami says in Ajmal Nilaman. Love moves in a crooked way, like a snake. There are many meanings to this idea, but snake is not moving in a straight line, no? That you can predict. Oh, it's going there, so it will end there. It's like when you think you are about to catch it, it's somewhere else, and it's somewhere else, and it's somewhere else. So that's the flute call of Krishna. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. This verse of the Gita, conclusion of the Gita, Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta will call, this is the flute call. He named the verse the flute call. Krishna there is saying what? Abandon everything and surrender to me completely, basically. That's the flute call. It's not just, oh, how nice flute. There are implications in the sound. Give everything. And Krishna will play the flute and you run after the flute. And when you reach Krishna somewhere else and the flute is sounding in the other extreme. No? I remember my Guru Maharaj said that to me once. He said, when I joined my Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada, he said, in ISKCON, I joined his mission in the spirit of flute call. I give myself fully here and I will never go anywhere. I will surrender here. So I gave myself there for many years, but after Prabhupada passed away, some things happened. And the flute was not longer sounding in that particular direction. Krishna was playing the flute somewhere else, on the other side, across the Ganga, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. So I swam across the Ganga, and I fall at the feet of Srila Siddhar Maharaj, where the flute was sounding. And I gave myself fully in that same spirit, Sarvadharmam Parityaja. I gave myself to the flute call. And I felt, I'll be here forever. But after Srila Siddhar Maharaj passed away, some things happened. And the flute call was sounding somewhere else. And my Guru said, there I go, there I went. It's not that, hey Krishna, why you're playing the flute in so many different places? Just decide in one spot and remain there and play the flute there. Sorry, that's not Krishna. Krishna has his own style. So if you want to give yourself to him, you have to accept him as he is. Bhagavad Gita cites Krishna as he is. So I am Bhagavan. So this means with this idea of unpredictability. But it keeps us in a flexible. Sorry, yeah, that's a complex word to translate. But that keeps in a flexible mood, adaptation, survival of the fittest in Darwinian terms. We keep changing, we keep adapting, and that's how everything. That's the law of nature. Everything grows and progresses by that. So anyhow, ISTAGOSTHI has to do with this: asking, hearing, replying in this spirit of dynamic, progressive transformation. So that's it. Are there any questions, any topics, something you would like to share? May I ask one glass of water, please, if possible? Thank you. Yes. Please recall me your name. I will ask every one of you the same, basically. Sonia. Yes.
Somewhere along your speech, you said that really we are in the spiritual world. We are not here.
I don't think I say exactly that, but I think I get your point. So you continue. Yeah.
And I was wondering which part of us is here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As spiritual souls, we are in the spiritual world. Which part of these spiritual souls is here in the material world?
Okay. Again, as I mentioned, Sonia, I don't think I say that exactly. Maybe I say something that resembles
that the soul cannot suffer.
That there's no bondage or liberation in the constitution of the Atma. So, which I understand it may sound similar, and I get the point. So yeah, actually, I didn't mention that we are in the spiritual world. What I mentioned is that the constitution of us as a soul is purely spiritual. Who we are is unmixed with matter. No, the two of them never mixed. No, matter and spirit, they cannot touch each other. As gave the example of oil and water. It seems they are almost about to merge, but it's not happening. So we never enter in direct contact with Maya or with illusion or with matter or all the things. I mean, we remain as who we are, Atma, soul, spiritual soul. That on one side, to clarify that, because to be in the spiritual world, at least in our tradition, means to have a fully developed spiritual identity in relation to Krishna in the context of prem, love, and I mean, I've written a book recently about a little bit some points of this, so I don't want to bore you to death repeating 400 pages here. But basically, this idea of bhakti is a gift that comes to our lives and that empowers the Atma to reach its highest potential. But if you do not consider bhakti in the equation, we as Atmas remain untouched by matter, and we are Atmas, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have a spiritual identity and that we are in the spiritual world or something. So that to begin with. Then the question is, so where we are here, we are there. So this is an interesting idea, because try to understand this idea. The Atma, we, and I know it's difficult to put it in words because we are beyond words to begin with. Interestingly, when Krishna in the Gita tries to say something about the Atma, who we are, chapter 2, he cannot say that much. If you pay attention, he starts to speak about consciousness, Atma. But whenever you describe something, you generally describe that in relation to something else to give some idea. But the point is, there's nothing in this world that compares to the Atma. So how you can compare who you are with anything from this world? So basically, the only thing that Krishna can do for most of the verses is speak in negative terms. The Atma doesn't die, is not killed, is not burned. Exactly. No, there is no weapon that can kill it. And so many najayate mriyati bakada chinnayam bhutana vitabana bhuyaha, and so on. So many verses that just speak in negative terms. Atma doesn't die, doesn't get born, it's not this, no. And at the end of the description, interestingly, he invokes one verse in which he uses the word Acaryas 3 times. Again, we go to another variety of aho. Because Acharya means like astonishment. So Acaryas means astonishing. And he mentions, after saying what the Atma is not, then Krishna, okay, let's say something positive about the Atma. He says, Acaryas. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. No? In one sense, no, we can summarize the verse like that. Like also making the point, it's beyond words. There's not much what I can say about the Atma. And of course, when Krishna speaks about the Atma, he's not only speaking about the Atma isolated from Bhakti, but the Atma fully embracing Bhakti in connection to him. So how wonderful becomes this infinitesimal atomic particle blessed by Bhakti has the power to control me, Krishna is saying. Ultimately, that's the very idea of the Gita. The Gita is ultimately broadcasting Bhakti. If you are a good reader, if you have a good eye, and a trained eye, probably you don't need to even open the book to understand the essence of the Gita. You just can see the cover of the book. That happened with one devotee that Mahaprabhu once met in his travels, who didn't know how to read. He was like, how do you say in English when someone doesn't know how to read? Analphabet, okay. Similar like in Spanish, okay. And everyone was laughing at him because he was with the book and he was crying. So people thought, maybe he's crying because everyone is joking about him or whatever, because he's an alphabet. So Mahaprabhu approached him. He perceived, no, there's something special here. He said, why you are crying? They say that you don't know how to read, but you are looking at the cover of the Gita. Krishna, Parthasarathi, is a chariot driver of Arjuna. Famous cover. Every Gita has basically the same cover, interestingly. That other books may have different covers here, but Gita is always, that's the cover. And this devotee said, well, I see this cover and I'm seeing God, Krishna, being the Uber of Arjuna, the taxi driver of his devotee. To be a taxi driver is not a very glorious service. But Krishna accepts to be in that insignificant situation in service to his devotee. So again, we have here how a soul, Arjuna is representing in one sense us. So how a soul, as tiny as it may be, empowered by bhakti, can make Krishna her taxi driver. That's the essence of the Gita, how powerful bhakti is. God becomes your servant. So my point is, ultimately, that's who we are for Krishna. Acaryas. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So when we say, okay, we are here in the material world, where we are in the spiritual world, or we are where we are start to speak in geographical terms, location. But the point is that the Atma it's not geographically. You cannot locate the Atma geographically. You follow my point? We may say we are in the material world. I mean, not geographically, just basically because we are identified in that particular direction. We feel, I am here. You can say now, I am here in Switzerland in Ananda Dham. But if in your mind you start to wander across the Alps and Europe, and you are whatever, at the banks of Jamuna, Ami Jamuna Puline, you are no longer, I mean, you are in Ananda Dham, because Ananda Dham, in this case, example was not the best. Ananda Dham is an embassy of that place. So you are realizing the real nature of Ananda Dham. So in that, I will change my example. Instead of going to the Jamuna, you go to the center of Kolkata or something like that, no? And honks and all these mundane things. I'll pray that doesn't happen in your mind here. But the point is, physically you're here, but you have one somewhere else. So where you are actually, no? That's why Rupa Goswami say Mathura Vas, you have to reside in Mathura or Vrindavan. And Jiva Goswami comments, if you cannot be there physically, at least you should be there mentally. Like implying better to be outside of Vrindavan physically, but inside mentally, than to be inside physically, but outside mentally. Of course, if you can be physically and mentally inside, okay. But the point is, where you are, it doesn't have to do with where is your body, if you will. That's not defining the location of the Atma. So in that sense, I say all this because sometimes we say, are we in the spiritual world? Are we in the material world? Where we are? I don't know. It depends where you are internally in terms of consciousness. Not like when Mahaprabhu was, again, seeing the ocean. He never saw the ocean in Puri. He saw Jamuna. He saw Chatak Parvat, small sand dune. He didn't see that. He saw Jaigiriraj. And the point is, was he right or not? We could say, objectively speaking, he was wrong. According to three-dimensional space and geographical location, he was not in Vrindavan. If you put him in a laboratory and try to subject him to these laws. But in a trans-subjective plane, he was totally correct. No? He was there. He was exhibiting all the... So as a famous saying says, beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. No? According to what you see internally, you will see that. Or Atmaban Manjate Jagat, the Vedas say. According to your inner world, you will see something in the outer world. So if you are full of envy, you may think, all these people are envious. And you are just projecting your own. Like if I put red lens, I think, everything is red now. It's not everything red. You just have that filter. We are filtering reality through some particular layers of prejudice, fear, whatever. But that's not reality. We are interested in reality unfiltered. Or filter with bhakti samskars, which is not a filter, but it's so anyhow, I don't know if somehow that helps to reply to the question, because again, it's a question that till one point we can put everything in words and geographical location. So we at present as Vaishnavas, our Atma, if you will, who we are, is being again affected by this rays of Swarup Shakti. Daivim Prakriti Mashritaha Mahatmanastu Mam Partha, Krishna says. The Mahatmas, my devotees, are those who remain under the shelter of my internal divine energy, which means Swarup Shakti. My bhaktas are those who remain. So the as much as we remain there, that's where we are. No? And bhakti is specific. Bhakti is not an abstract energy. You have receiving generic bhakti. No, there's always specificity in bhakti. So that will gradually, mark our destiny in transcendence. No? So we are on the path. We are sadhakas. Sadhaka means we are not siddhas. Sadhaka means practitioner. So we are not siddhas. We are not fully accomplished, perfected beings. but we are no longer conditioned souls either. I mean, there may be some conditioning, but my point is, we have started the process of transformation by the grace of Sadhu Guru. So you no longer belong to the category of Bhada Jiva, conditioned soul. Still, you are not Siddha, perfect. We are in between, at least most of us are in that journey. So it still is work in progress, as they say in English. So still, we cannot fully conclude, okay, I am this, and this is my identity in the Lila. With still, that has maybe not manifested. But as we spoke the other day with Krishna Chandra Prabhu, we have lots of things we can take in our present identity. I'm a servant of Sri Guru. I'm a servant of the Vaishnavas. I'm a servant of Mahaprabhu Gaura-lila. And from that sense of servanthood, whatever remains to be realized in terms of identity will come in time. Someone once asked Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, can you reveal me my Siddha Deha? My perfected form in Vrindavan. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji say, that was pretty substantial. He said, that information is in between the syllables of the Maha Mantra. Like implying, you go deeper in your chanting, and all will come from there eventually. No need that I tell you anything. No. If that didn't come from your chanting, probably, if I tell you anything, I don't know what you will do with that. No. So things like this. No? So eventually, whatever remains to be known and revealed will come. But I will say that better we properly engage with all the things that already came to us. What we are doing with that gift, with, as we spoke today, with that mercy. Okay, thank you. Some other question or commentary, topic? Yes?
Yeah, yesterday we spoke a little bit about Gaura-lila. And I remember one time we had the question, we had a little bit the discussion. There is so much known about the Svarupa of our group Pampara in Krishna Lila, but not so much about the Svarupa in Gaura-lila.
Mm-hmm.
So why? So I wanted to know also how, what's your point of view about that?
Okay. Yeah, more than my point of view, I'll try to share what our
of course.
Acaryas have said on that connection. So why there is not so much information, if you will, about the identities of our Guru Parampara and Gaura-lila as we may find about their identities in Krishna Lila. In some cases.
Like in Nitya Navadvip.
Yeah. So one way to answer that will be that there's not much information because we already have all the information in the sense that our Acaryas, they attain perfection, they are accomplished, they are siddhas. So that's their identity in Nitya Navadvip. In the sense of, it's not that they are a gopa or a gopi, they will be sadhakas, perfected sadhakas in Nitya Navadvip. Of course, there are some details, like for example, there will be Brahmin, according to the revelation, our tradition, in Nitya Navadvip, we will be Brahmin boys, young Brahmin boys, 13 years old Brahmin boys, assisting Mahaprabhu and his associates in Nitya Navadvip. And once in that connection, the idea came to me, it would be nice, because we have sometimes the images of our parampara in the altar, like representing, okay, Radha Govindaji is there in the altar, Gaur Gadadhar is there in the altar, and the altar is like a portal into eternity. No? It's like we are having a glimpse of the Yoga Pith, if you will. Yeah. and our Acaryas are there, like implying they are participating in the Lila, serving there. So I once the idea came, since in Gaura-lila they will be serving as young Brahmin boys, it would be nice to have pictures of all of them when they were 13 years old or something, because they will have that age, and they will, and that will be the body. When a Acharya passes away, when a perfected being leaves his body, generally there may be exceptions to the rule. but the body is put into what we call samadhi. You have heard this expression, right? So what does samadhi mean? Samadhi basically means the perfection of meditation. That person has reached fully accomplished devotional trance. So the body is put into salt and preserved, and the whole monument is built. Because the idea is the body is preserved. That is, in this body, fully spiritualized body, he is serving or she is serving. There's place for ladies being acharyas, just in case. I mean, if you're a Salvan acharya, you are no longer lady or man. That's important point. But anyhow, in that same body, they are serving Mahaprabhu Nityananda. That's a very mysterious process. How what in the beginning may be a material body, if you want to think of some sadhu as a sadhana siddha, because here is another possibility. Because sometimes devotees like to think every member of the parampara is nitya siddha, eternally liberated, but sometimes there is place to think not necessarily everyone is nitya siddha. No? Some can be sadhana siddha, which means they attain perfection through practice, which is not problem. Sometimes I've seen devotees having a problem with this, like
it's an offense, or
you are like down demoting, you say, like downplaying, no? But why? They are siddhas. Once someone asked Srila Prabhupada, who is higher, sadhana siddha, nitya siddha? Srila Prabhupada said, the important word there is siddha. I don't care what comes before. Nitya, sadhana, siddha. Siddha is perfected. Period. Perfected is perfected. So my point is, if some of these personalities become perfect, become siddha, at one point their body is not still fully spiritual, fully spiritualized, but it gets spiritualized the more we acquire bhakti samskars. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this in one purport in the Bhagavatam. And this is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. We mentioned this verse, I think, yesterday. Diksha Kali Bhakta Kare Atma Samarpana Te Kare Krishna Tare Kare Atma Sam. So Bhagavan himself is saying many things in this verse, but he says, on the moment of Diksha, when one offers oneself completely to Krishna, Krishna makes the body of that person equal to himself. So there it is said, when you fully surrender to Krishna, your body becomes Krishna-like. Now, what is Krishna-like? Krishna's body is fully spiritual. Your body can become fully spiritual, although it was material. So that's an interesting idea. Now, matter is inert, but it has the potential of becoming spiritualized in contact with bhakti. In Christianity, they call this, and I hope there is a term in German for that, the transubstantiation of matter.
Yeah.
Like when in the Mass, they have like the bread, and at one point, the bread is no longer bread. The same principle applies to Srimurti on the altar. At one point, that's a piece of wood or a piece of metal, but through certain particular situations and influences, that's no longer to be seen as a piece of wood, of carved and statue, but it's Bhagavan himself. Sakshat Brajendra Nandan says. So what happened in between? Follow. So the same applies to, if we apply our body in sadhana, our senses, kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava sas sadhanavita nityasidasya bhavasya prakatyam hridi sadhyata. This is a definition of sadhana bhakti, which means basically to use your senses for the pleasure of the master of the senses. So the more you use your senses for the pleasure of Krishna, the more bhakti samskars, devotional impressions, enter your senses, they start to spiritualize the whole system. My Guru Maharaj likes to say like this, no? Try to imbibe bhakti samskars in the pores of your body. No? Every pore of your material body can become spiritualized by receiving impressions of bhakti. So again, at one point, that body is no longer to be seen as material. This is what Rupa Goswami says in Padashamrita. You no longer should see the body of a pure devotee as material. The subtle material body is totally spiritualized. So in that body, if a body is totally spiritualized, it acquired adhikar to serve in eternity. If it's fully spiritual, it can serve in a fully spiritual realm. So in that body, in that identity, the devotee will serve Mahaprabhu in Gaura-lila as a young Brahmin boy. That's the point. Youthful boy there, assisting his Gurudev and so on, her Gurudev. And generally, it is mentioned that the name one had as a sadhaka in this lifetime, if one attained perfection, that name will be accompanying that person also there. So things like this. You have something in connection to that?
Exactly.
Yes.
So what I hear out is that it's for the personal progress, it's important to take Diksha.
You are asking about that?
Yes.
How important that is and so
Yes.
on?
Yeah, I hear out that Diksha makes really a lot of sense. Because I was talking before and I said I didn't get Diksha until now, but I hear out that it's very important.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah. Totally. Of course, we don't want to minimize the importance of Diksha at all. It's important. It's one of the angas of bhakti. Also, but in the process of emphasizing the importance of Diksha, we should also, I think we also spoke all the things we already spoke in the train with Krishna Chandra, all the things we will speak the next 10 days. He already captured everything in the first 2 hours on the train with coming here. So, yeah, Diksha is important, but what's Diksha? Because sometimes we can conceive that as a mere formality or mere, okay, today is the day that they will give me Diksha. Okay, now I have Diksha. What's next now? And if you ask that, it means you didn't understand what's Diksha. Because again, Diksha Kale Bhakta Kare Atma Samarpana. Diksha Kale is at the moment of Diksha, when the Bhakta devotee makes of himself Atma Samarpana, which means who makes of his own Atma a full offering to Bhagavan. So that's not cheap. No? So when you hear that, you wonder, did I receive Diksha or not yet? No. Officially, I did, but I have not offered myself fully yet. So where I am in terms of Diksha, you follow my point. So the idea with this is Diksha is not just like an injection, like, okay, done, Diksha. What's next now? What you will do with that now? So Diksha is a process that unfolds gradually. Of course, it begins at some point, and we call that point initiation. But the very word initiation is speaking about initiation. You are initiating something. You're not concluding. No? Diksha is not called conclusion. It's called initiation. So it's a moment in which Sri Guru will give mantra, and you have to realize the deity of that mantra by chanting the mantra. His Divya Jnanam Tato Jayat. Srila Jiva Goswami describes Diksha in Bhakti Sandarbha. Papa, Sarva Papa, I don't remember the exact line. But Diksha is that process through which divine knowledge is imparted and all the sins are cleansed from the heart. So again, one may say, still everything has not been cleansed. So something has been imparted to me. So what to do with that? And even if I have not received Diksha yet, we should be careful not to run after that thinking, oh, if I don't have Diksha, I cannot make any progress. Because sometimes the idea comes also. I need to receive that as soon as possible, so I'm somewhere. But I don't think that experience, I think that's experience for many of us, that before Diksha, so many things have come. So
maybe one can also say some understanding of Diksha is, well, I'm getting it somewhere, but according to that verse, actually, maybe it's an invitation, but I have to follow that invitation of complete surrender. So many people think it's much easier just waiting somewhere and getting something instead of, oh my God, I have to surrender completely. It's a complete different picture.
Yeah. And technically speaking, for example, Srila Rupa Goswami, when he described the 64 angas of bhakti, interestingly, before speaking about Diksha, that's point number 2 of 64. Sri Krishna Dikshadi Sikshanam. But first is Tasma Ado Guru Padasraya. So he's saying, to begin with, you have to surrender at the feet of the Guru. And again, we sometimes, of course, Rupa Goswami is saying surrender at the feet of the Guru. So what it means surrender for Rupa Goswami, it may not be the same for us. No? In practice. Now, how he expressed surrender, it may not be the same way. Okay, I will follow Rupa Goswami. Well, nice, but in trying to follow him, you will realize that you cannot follow him fully yet. On some level, you try to follow. So in that sense, you have to start to think, this is not a black and white thing. It's not that I'm surrendered or I'm not surrendered. There are degrees of surrender. As we were speaking, between black and white, there are 256 shades of gray. Sometimes we don't like gray too much. We want black and white, period. But when we grow, we realize this is not like that. So much nuanced is in between. So yeah, Rupa Goswami surrender, and then you receive Diksha, but in his idea, maybe it's, you're already fully surrendered. So when Diksha comes, you are already fully surrendered and few. But generally, maybe we are not fully surrendered. We receive Diksha on some level of surrender. But maybe we may think, oh, but I'm not experiencing all the things that Mahaprabhu experienced when he received Diksha. Because he received Diksha and he was going crazy after 2 minutes, chanting his mantra. And he went back to Ishwarapur and said, Gurudev, what have you given me? What's that in that mantra? I'm going crazy. And Ishwarapur was like, very nice student, very good disciple. But the point is, if we try to compare ourselves with Mahaprabhu, we may get depressed, basically. So we shouldn't compare, we shouldn't try to imitate. That's the difference between Anukar and Anusar. So Anukar means, Kar means to do, and Anu means to follow. So Anukar means to do what someone else is doing, basically to imitate. I do something, and someone else, oh, Maharaj is doing that. So it must be correct. So we have to do also. I just start to do it without having an idea why I'm doing that. And Anusar means, Sara means essence. Anusar means to follow the essence. To follow the essence means you are doing something, and instead of imitating what you are doing, first I try to see why you are doing that, which is your motivation, your level of realization, from which platform you are doing that internally. And then I can see how much I can do that myself, or how much I cannot do that myself. Like Christ was crucified and he was praying, God forbid them, they don't know what they are doing. Probably we cannot imitate him. We can try if you want. We bring some nails and I will put you there and you have to feel compassion for me and pray for me. Probably we won't be able. But it doesn't mean that we cannot learn anything from that. You follow. We cannot imitate, but we should follow his footsteps, which means he's there, I'm here, but his compassion inspires me. How can I be compassionate in this stage in my life? So again, Diksha is important, but it's important also to have in place all the things that will make Diksha to give all that it can be in our lives, to prepare the heart for that. Because if not, even your guru may be the topmost Mahabhagavat in the planet, but as we mentioned yesterday, is 50% and 50% equation. So if you are not doing your 50%, there is no guru, because there is no student. The guru is there, but you are not there as a student, so the guru is not there either. I've seen so many people telling me, Maharaj, I'm looking for a guru and I'm not finding the guru. I'm looking and looking. I think, have you looked for the disciple in you first? Have you asked where's the disciple? Where I am myself as a disciple first? Because if you have not asked that question, maybe you will never find the guru. And maybe your guru is here. But you are like, guru, 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 but disciple, disciple, disciple. So we have to do our 50%, and then everything else will come. Because if not, you can have Harinam, Diksha, Ekadash, Vav, Sannyas, Bhavajivesh, all the levels of initiation you can possibly imagine.
Collect.
Yeah. Yeah, like more consumerism, like more. But what you are doing with that? And we see on the contrary, so many examples of great personalities who attain so much, having received not so little, but just something, and they took full advantage of that. It's not that we're asking, so what's next now? What should I receive after this? No, what they received, they realize, oh, everything is here in potential. I was thinking about Gopakumar. I didn't say Gopakumar, but you say that. So thank you for reading my mind. So he just chanted Gopal mantra, and that took him all the way to the ultimate goal. Again, we may not be able to be so much, to extract so much from one single direction, but those examples are showing us that's possible. Like Srila Prabhupada will say, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. It sounds easy, no? But generally most of us cannot just do that. Once my Guru Maharaj was giving a lecture and sharing lots of Siddhanta in the class, and someone at the end of the class, he said, is there any question? And someone said, what's the need of all this philosophy, all this knowledge? Why to study? We can just Hare Krishna, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Why complicating things so much? And my Guru Maharaj replied to that person, okay, so it's just about chant and be happy? Yes. And he said, and you are doing that? You just chant? You don't know anything else and you're happy? He said, no. I need to do so many other things yet in my life. And my Guru Maharaj said, that's why I'm explaining all these other things also. Because you are not able just to sit and chant 3 lakhs per day and be happy with that. You are not Haridas Thakur yet. So you need to hear so many other things to take advantage of the chanting. So all the things we are saying are to nourish the moment that you are sitting and chanting. They are not separate things, basically. No? We have to have some banda for our engagement of kirtan. That's Sankirtan. Sankirtan also in Sambandha Kirtan, among other meanings. Samyak Kirtan, Sangha Kirtan. Some words about diction. So, Krishna Chandra, have some comments, some idea?
A little thing. This morning we heard how Brahma, in the beginning of creation, had like a revelation of Gopal in his Gopavesh, and they shook hands, and it was like going to become friends. But it looks like he had to wait 50 years in his life.
Of his 50, his standard.
Yes, it is standard. It was continuing.
Mm-hmm.
So the question came up, why? So why is he letting so long till the continuation? And some devotees asked themselves also, there was like an initial point of intense mercy, and then it looks like it takes quite long till the next further steps are initiated. Is this cruelty of his side?
Is Krishna a monster? What do you think? No. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu. He's an ocean of mercy. But thank you, Krishna Chandra, for playing the devil's advocate. Are we worshipping a sociopath or something like that? No. Actually, Brahma, of course, he he received this approach from Krishna in a friendly way, and he expressed some, I would like to go to explore this possibility of being your friend. But the point is, that was not the only thing he had in mind at that moment. No, it was not just ekantik, no, one pointed vyabhyasa yadmika buddhi ekkeha guranandana. It was not one pointed laulyam or something. He expressed some affinity for that, but he was also having this desire of engaging in the world, if you will, no? of fulfilling certain desires, if you want to put it like that, according to his nature, to compare a little bit with our situation as sadhakas. So Krishna asked him, Krishna blessed him, so you can be the architect of the whole cosmos, you can do the things that you need to do, or you feel you need to do, but in such a way that eventually your worldly, if you want to call it worldly, involvement is done in such a way that it's gradually taking you for a more and more and more focused pointing in your spiritual aspiration. So somehow that has to do with the idea of, for us to my Guru Maharaj likes to say, for us to grow vertically, we have to develop ourselves horizontally. In other words, we need to be, our psychology needs to be balanced. Although it's an acquired nature, we can say, you are not that, that's not your Atma. No, but it's there. And Krishna says in the Gita, it's not easy to change your acquired nature. So we are not trying to force everyone to be exactly the opposite nature you have now, so you become transcendental. That may be dysfunctional too much for many. So basically, you have to dovetail or to work with your nature in a way that it becomes offerable to Bhagavan. So different people will have some desires, and there is place for satisfying those desires in the context of bhakti also. Of course, that's not Svarup Siddha Bhakti, but that can be Sangha Siddha Bhakti, for example, in the words of Jiva Goswami, which means you can do, I don't know, taking a shower is not bhakti, technically speaking. It's not that every person on earth who is having a shower is acquiring bhakti samskars by doing that. Because we took so many showers, at this point we should be in Golok Vrindavan or something. But if you are a devotee, you can take a shower in the context of bhakti. Because I'm not taking a shower, I'm taking care of my sadhaka deha for the service of Guru and Vaishnava. So this is not for my body. It's not my body. It's a sadhaka deha that Gurudev gave me. So it doesn't even belong to me. It's his gift to me. So I'm taking care of my Gurudev's gift. So it's all about how the orientation you have for taking the shower. To give one example, something that can be ordinary. One shower, go to the bathroom. Generally, we don't think, now I'm about to increase my bhakti samskars in the bathroom. Generally, you don't think like that. But bhakti is so powerful and so user-friendly that you can be in the bathroom advancing in bhakti. But you have to have the proper conception. Yes, that's big responsibility because it's about us. Nobody can do it for me. So what I'm thinking when I'm having a shower, when I'm passing a stool, again, sorry, it may sound like gross, but I remember Thomas Merton, he once said, I like Thomas Merton a lot. He's a Christian monastic. I say, your salvation begins in the most ordinary moments of your daily life. In those moments that you feel I'm doing the most possible ordinary thing I could do, you have to find something extraordinary there. And the salvation project began. You follow. Don't wait for some epiphany in the midst of the kirtan to have something extraordinary. You go to the bathroom, try to think about that. And probably when you are in the kirtan, you will experience something else. So the point is, going back to the question, Brahma had some desires he need to fulfill according to his nature, and Krishna blessed that. You can do it in such a way you will be a balanced person, a balanced human, although Brahma is not so human, has 4 heads, but anyhow, in our case, some devotees need to have a family, some devotees have a monastic nature. It's okay. It's not that one is better than the other. It's not that the worst monk is necessarily higher than the best grihasta. You follow? Sometimes I hear this type of weird conclusions, or these full ideas like women are less intelligent than men and blah blah blah. No? So the most intelligent woman in the world is still less intelligent than the less intelligent man in the world. This type of ideas, not like you say, like, it doesn't make sense. So I mean, we are considered according to our ideal. It's not about whether being woman or not, married or not. Mahaprabhu said, he started to kick out all these designations. Sannyasi, no. Brahmana, no. He was sannyasi and brahmana on some level. On a social level of interaction, he respected the norms of what's expected from a sannyasi and a brahmin on some level, on a formal level. But in a substantial level, he said, I don't care for all those things. Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamala, your dasa, dasa, no dasa. Who I am is the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the beloved of the gopis. That's who I am. All those other things are just upadis. And bhakti sarva upadi vinir muktam. We have to be totally free from all these designations. But but there is place to, again, if you have some needs, try to satisfy them, but include Krishna in the equation, basically. So, okay, I need to have a family to be balanced emotionally. Okay, but the question is, why do you want to be balanced emotionally? That's not the last point. You follow? I remember once I was speaking with one friend in Argentina. I said, "Oh, Maharaj, I have to work so much." I say, "Why you are working so much?" Because I need money. And why you need money? Because I have to maintain my family. And why you maintain your family? He didn't expect that last question. He thought this is a conclusion. I have to maintain my family. I said, but why maintaining your family? Of course, I'm not against that, but just wanted to. He was like, oops. The point is, I'm maintaining my family in service to Krishna, because it's not my family. It's his family. They are being put in my care. I'm in their service. So the last reply always applies to Krishna. You follow my point? So I need to be balanced I need the family so I balance emotionally. And why? So I can offer my balanced emotionality for Krishna's pleasure. I don't want to offer Krishna's dysfunctional sadhaka. I want to offer a balanced human being. No, and more. But for that, I need to have some things in place first. So that's what Brahma needed. I need to engage in certain ways, fulfill some things, so I can fully give me as a friend to you in Vrindavan. So that took some time for him to have those things in place, and eventually the moment came and he was able to go further in his ideal. So no, Krishna is not cruel. But yeah, sometimes that may take some time. We shouldn't rush. That's the idea. If we are already practicing bhakti, as Krishna Chandra very nicely have been repeating, and I hope he will continue repeating these days, like all we are experiencing here now, this Harikatha, Kirtan, Sadhu Sangha, this is a glimpse of eternity, because this is what we want to do forever. So my point is, if we already can do that now, why the need for rushing? Where? Where do you want to go? If you already have the chance of doing those things that you can do in eternity, where do you want to go? What do we want to do in eternity? Worship, serve, sing. I say, but I'm doing those things now already. So that's the generosity of bhakti. Bhakti sadhana and bhakti sadhya. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. Bhagavatam said, Bhakti takes you to Bhakti. Come from Bhakti and takes you to further Bhakti. So Bhakti is so high that it's not only the means, but it's the goal also. So this is very unique meditation. Try to think deeply about this. Oh, I'm having the chance of doing now those things that I will do in eternity. The only missing thing is still I have to develop prem, basically. But I will be doing those things I'm doing now. So I already have that opportunity. So I'm so fortunate. The ultimate goal came to me now, right here. I just need to go deeper into that, and that's all. And when we have this prem, we will be totally satisfied, even with the most quote unquote insignificant service opportunity. Because there will be no insignificant service opportunity. If you learn what is the main service of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Gaura-lila as Kamala Manjari, he's preparing camphor lamps for eternity. So try to imagine. If I bring some camphor now, and I give a little bit to everyone, we have to make some lamps now. Please help me. So you start to make camphor lamps. In half an hour, Maharaj comes. I come again, and you, Maharaj, it's okay like this? We can do a little bit more, no problem. So one more hour, no, hour and a half, and you start to become nervous. Maybe like we are like 25 people doing camphor lamp for 2 hours. Still, we need more. Yeah, we can continue till tomorrow, no problem. The whole day. And we are like, well, we have so many other things to do yet. No? Like this devotee, like, why chant? Just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Just make camphor lamps and be happy. You follow. The point is still there's no prem in the heart. So at one point we start to get bored, we start to get nervous, we start to feel this is always the same. But if you have pure love, there's never the same. Each camphor lamp is a new layer of epiphany. It's a new portal. There's no end to that. If you study the Lila, as we are doing a little bit at the end of the classes, Krishna Lila, Gaura-lila, it seems that they are doing exactly the same thing every day for eternity. You may wonder, do not they get bored? Always the same plan. Some slight variation here, but it seems that the general structure is the same forever. So it's important that we understand it's only the external structure is the same, but whatever is going on inside is never the same. The very idea of anurag is one of the developments of prem. It makes everything felt as if it's the first time. When Radha and Krishna first they meet, they feel, oh, this is the first time. No? Or Krishna will tell Subal, oh, who is that beautiful girl on the? Maybe half an hour ago he was with Radha, but now he's seeing her again after half an hour, and he's feeling just like if the first time he's seeing her. And Radha the same. Who is that blue boy on? Oh, Lalita, tell me more about him. And Lalita is like, man, you have been with him some few minutes ago. No. What do you mean? No, that's the experience of anurag. It's constantly updating itself. The beauty is updating. Everything is new. External is the same. Internal is never the same. Interestingly. Sorry?
How do you call it?
Anurag.
Anurag.
Yeah. In this world, it's exactly the opposite. Externally, we try to do everything different always, but internally, it's always the same. There's no variety, actually. No change. It's always, as Prahlad Maharaj will say, punapunas charbita charvananam. Like chewing those things that have been chewed so many times. We engage in another type of punapunas charbita charvana. We receive harikata from our Gurudev. Gurudev is chewing that, giving us to us, and we try to chew that ourselves and find new taste. But there's always new taste coming. So we also engage in chewing the chewed. That's parampara, but from another side. Anyhow, some thoughts. Any other question? We have a few minutes before finishing.
I would like to ask you, you just mentioned that in these leelas they are eternal and always new. Eternally, this
from the outside the same, but not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So this Vrindavan Krishna is getting older. He's a little boy, but is getting a bit older. How can I understand this? If a lila is always there, always the same, but always new. But at the same time, the age is changing. Are they existing parallel? Can I imagine that, like, do you know these little puppets, the babushkas?
One inside the other. Yeah.
Is it like, can I think that way of this Vrindavan? Because otherwise, if he would get older, then the time before would not really exist, but it always exists.
Yeah, I get the point.
Mm-hmm.
There's some few things to clarify in that connection. Do you have 3-4 more hours or something? Thank you. So we have to begin with, where to begin? Prakat, Aprakat, Lila. So when we speak about Krishna and his activities and Lila, we have these two ideas of Prakat Lila and Aprakat Lila, which means Lila, which is performed on earth, is called Prakat Lila, manifest Lila. And then we have the Aprakat Lila, or Nitya Lila, sometimes called. I'm just summarizing. There are many things to say about this. But my point is, this Krishna getting old, if you want to put it like that, a bit, as we say, because it is mentioned when he stayed on earth, he lived for 125 years, but he always looked maximum like a 16-year-old boy. So that doesn't happen if you have 100. I mean, nobody has 125 years generally to begin with. And if you have them, you don't look like a 16-year-old boy. So that's a way of saying he's beyond age, he's beyond all these like effects of time. But nonetheless, we see that in his earthly lila there is some chronological unfolding. As you mentioned, Krishna is born, again, all this with quotation mark, born. His name Aja means the unborn. And the one who gives birth to everything else. But he's born. Like when we say the son is born, yes and no. So in the context of Lila, he's born. But of course, his form is eternal at the same time. So we have to clarify. So on earth, his Lila has these human-like features that resemble, like adjust to the, how to say, to the standards here. Here we live in a place where time is passing, we get old, things unfold chronologically. So Krishna comes on earth and he respects the laws of this plane to execute his lila, which is beyond the effects of time, but seems to be part of that, as a way to make it more relatable even for us. So he's born, he learns to crawl, he becomes an infant, a boy, so on. Now, in the Nitya Lila, in Golok Vrindavan, that's not happening. Krishna is not born there. That's called Nitya Sthiti, which means permanent situation. So Krishna is not born in Golok. That's why, for example, someone like Kavi Karnapur, one point he says, the birth of Krishna, the whole Prakat Lila, he will say, on earth, was for Yashoda to experience the joy of giving birth to Krishna. Because she's not experiencing that in Golok. And the greatest joy for the mother is to give birth to the child. So only so Yashoda can experience that, the whole Prakat Lila is there to facilitate. That's a way, one perspective of that, like appreciating Sakhya-bhava. But that's not happening. Many things that happen here are not happening there. Not only Krishna's chronological unfolding, but Krishna's living Vrindavan, going to Mathura, Dwarka, dealing with all these asuras. All this happens in the Prakat Lila. In the Nitya Lila, Krishna, again, remains in Vrindavan, stays always the same. Now, that said, there's more complexity to add to that. There are some differences of opinion among our Acaryas. So welcome to the realm of paradox again. So Kavi Karnapur will say that Krishna in Nitya Lila always is Nitya Kishore. He's like an eternal adolescent boy, and everyone sees him in those terms. No? But some other of our acharyas, like the Goswamis, will mention that although there's not this chronological unfolding in the Lila, every devotee will see Krishna according to the eye of their bhava, of their emotion. So Yashoda won't see Kishore Krishna. He will see Kumar, no? The infant Krishna, because that's her. That they are the eye. That's it. Her love makes Krishna appear in that way. This is a very important point that we need to understand. That Krishna's form is a result of the love of his devotees. A devotee has a certain love, and that makes God appear in a certain form. You follow? Huh? If Krishna is playing the flute here, and suddenly Hanuman appears, probably the flute will disappear and Ramachandra will manifest. Because that's the absolute in response to the love of a particular devotee. There's a correspondence between the two. Tam bhakti yoga paribhavita harit saroja asesu tekshita patina nunat punsap tat dhyata urugaya vibhavayanti tat baput pranayase satanugrahaya. Brahma is saying. He says, every devotee meditates on you according to a particular mood, and you reciprocate to that devotee appearing in a form that corresponds with their meditation. Krishna says in the Gita, I reciprocate accordingly to how you approach me. Of course, this doesn't mean that I can imagine whatever I like, and Krishna is forced to reciprocate. No? Okay, I will think of Krishna like a mouse playing electric guitar, and he has to appear like that. No, it doesn't work like that. Ase Srutraikshita says this verse. Srutraikshita means according to the parameters of the scriptures, there are different forms of God. So in that perimeter, you can worship some of them and he will manifest. So that's an important point to bear in mind, which again it takes us beyond the three-dimensional way of thinking. Okay, we are in one place and Krishna is one and everyone will see him in the same way, and we try to project this limited perspective on the absolute. No? Remember, Krishna in Vrindavan is showing to when Yashoda, when Krishna's friends comes and say, report him to Yashoda, Krishna ate dirt. No. Because Krishna heard for so long about the glories of Brajaraj, of the dust of Vrindavan. So I want to taste it myself. No? He ate earth, soil, Braja's soil. So his friends were like denouncing him, especially Balaram, who is the elder brother of Krishna. I mean, not too elder, a few days, but Yashoda kind of imprinted in Balaram this Abhiman, this identity. You are the elder brother. You have to take care of him. And Balaram is 8 days older. How much you can be an elder brother 8 days older? But somehow he has this identity. I have to protect my younger brother. He's a Maryad Purush, the one who is reporting to Yashoda every time Krishna does some mischief. But he never reports when Krishna goes with the gopis. That's an important point, interestingly. And Balaram knows about that, but he's not considering that's a mischief. He's supporting that by looking to another direction. That's the way Balaram assists Krishna in his Madhurya Lila. When Krishna has to meet with Radha the midday in Radha Kunda, Krishna will say, I'll have to go and explore some section of the forest that I didn't know, and I also have a date with an astrologer, so I'll take a few of my friends, and he picks some Priyanarma Sakas, and the rest of you can remain with Balaram for a while. Okay, so Balaram entertains them while Krishna is going to Radha Kunda. So well, the point is that Balaram is denouncing Krishna, and Krishna say, I didn't eat dirt. I will see that actually he was right. He said, I didn't eat dirt. He starts to cry, and just say, they say that your friends said you ate dirt, and Krishna said, they are envious of me. Krishna says, because I always defeat them in wrestling. No? So now they are like conspiring against me. And although I didn't eat dirt, they're telling that I ate dirt. But I always defeat them in wrestling, so that's why they want me to see defeated now. Although Krishna is lying at that point because he's defeated in wrestling many times on a daily basis, by Sri Dham especially. No. Anyhow, that's another lila. So as we know, Krishna opens his mouth, just as they open the mouth. Okay, you want to see some dirt, some earth. Okay, he opens it. And just says the whole planet Earth, and she sees herself inside that, looking at Krishna's mouth, and inside that second mouth is the planet Earth and herself, like this type of expansive spiral of revelation. And of course, in one sense, Krishna is saying, I didn't eat dirt, because eating dirt means you take something and you put in your mouth. But Yashoda, so everything is already in his mouth. So you are not eating anything, already there. But interestingly, Yashoda saw outside. I mean, she saw Krishna inside Krishna's mouth, but she saw Krishna there. She saw the world inside Krishna, but she saw Krishna inside the world. So how try to make sense of that with your head? No? So Brahma is referring to this in his prayers. We already saw those prayers. He's saying your form is all pervading. It seems middle-sized, it seems limited, but it can perform so many functions simultaneously. So I'm saying this in the context of, you may say Krishna is Nitya Kishore in the Dham, but Yashoda is singing with certain bhav, and he will show to her in a particular way. And simultaneously someone else is seeing him in another way. That's the very point that is made Malanama Sanirninam Naravaram Strinam Smaro Murtinam, when Krishna is entering the arena of Kamsa, famous verse, and 12 different peoples are looking at Krishna, and all of them are seeing something different in the same Krishna. No? The wrestlers are seeing like a thunderbolt entering the arena. Yeah. Kamsa is seeing Mrityu, Bojapater. He's seeing death personified entering. The women are seeing Cupid personified. That's very different. It's another type of death. But anyhow, the Gopas are seeing, oh, he's our relative. So different people, yogis are seeing something else, but the same Krishna is showing himself. Akila Rasamrita Murtihi. That verse Rupa Goswami translated in his whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So anyhow, some words about that. I hope that maybe doesn't help to clarify. Krishna Chandra mentioned it creates new doubts. That's the idea. So we have more questions for the remaining days.
There's like a very beautiful moment in Gopal Champur when Nanda Baba takes baby Krishna, Bala Krishna out, and suddenly with the cows, in the pasture ground, and suddenly there's like a thunderstorm coming. And Nanda Baba is a little, what should I do? I have to take care of the cows and I have to take care of Shyam Sundar. He doesn't know what to do. And at that very moment, a beautiful young Kishori, a beautiful lady, actually Shrimati Radhika, she's coming and said, I will take care of him. And she's taking him and they go around the corner. Nanda Baba is very happy. He can take care of the cows. And then they go around the corner. There's no thunderstorm. And Radha and Krishna have the beautiful lila together. So this shows it's not something like static. It's like you say, it's like according a mood.
Very subjective.
Yeah.
Very subjective. Yeah.
And when Krishna was a king in Dwaraka and coming to Kurukshetra, he was more than 100 years old. And when Mother Yashoda coming in, Krishna jumping, and he's like a baby.
And she's breastfeeding him at that time. He's more than 100 years old. So it's all about, or when Krishna is in bed in the morning, he just, as we say yesterday, sneaked from the Nikunja. He was with Radha, the sun is coming in the morning in the Nisanta Lila. He has to enter his room. And Yashoda enters eventually to wake him up. And Yashoda starts to see all these bruises and different markings of the loving battle he had last night with Radha, in the arena of Cupid. This is all these bruises and nail marks and all that. but Jashoda is Jashoda. No? She has Vatsalya lens, so she can never think about her baby doing that. So she will only think, oh, these boys, these friends of Krishna, I told them that when they wrestle with him, that they do not throw him to the ground so strongly, and they're creating all these bruises. Oh, this boy, my grandma say, oh, boys will be boys. Oh, this boy, I will have to tell them again. She can, it's not in her psychology to conceive my boy is no longer a boy, if you will, no, if you want to put it like that. So she will always see something, and that's charming basically in its own. It's not that she's in Maya, she's wrong or something. So that's the beauty of the subjective perspective in Lila. Okay, I think we can conclude the Q&A and we can go there. Yeah. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srimad Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Gaur Gadadhara ki jai, Shri Radha Govinda ji ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanand Hari Bo, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Hari Bo.